recording in quarantine without an end in sight. I have the biggest grin on my face because we spent 30 minutes trying to figure out what was wrong with my microphone. Anyways, this is Armbridge Podcast. I am Sonika, and this is Chelsea. We are your co-hosts, and this intro is already a hot mess, but I'm rolling with it. This podcast, where we give advice and good conversation from one to another. What's up?
Yeah.
Last week, we talked about, we did the 36 Questions to Fall in Love by New York Times. We did the second part to that. And this week, we decided to mix things up a little bit, make things interesting, make them a little spicy. I don't know why my microphone's showing such big lines. Everything's happening.
It's spicy.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, things are really getting spicy. We're going to give you advice based on your zodiac sign, because we are not qualified, but boy, do we like pretending we are.
Okay.
I hope you like this week's intro.
It's just, like, because we had the great idea to, like, okay, we memorized it. We have this down, we're good, but we're not, so.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Season 2, this is where we start improvising.
Yeah, we just go crazy.
Oh, Lord.
I guess before we start, like, maybe we should talk about, like, what zodiac signs we are? Maybe just for some context.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What are you, my friend?
Contrary to, I guess, like,
Both of us are...
popular belief, I'm a Scorpio, and I've had people tell me, like, whenever I reveal this information that I don't seem like a Scorpio, and then I learned about, like, the sun and moon, like, aspects of it. There are a lot of, like, different aspects into, like, what your zodiac sign is. There are different
planets.
Other signs that interact with yours and stuff, but I guess maybe, like, the traits that I relate the most with, Scorpio-wise, are, I have them written down here because I'm no astrologer, but I am resourceful. I tend to be pretty passionate about the things that I do like, and yeah.
Nice. So I'm a Gemini. On Armbridge, I don't know if this is surprising or not surprising, we both fall under the crazy end of the spectrum for signs.
Oh, yikes.
But, yeah. We're a Gemini-Scorpio duo. Just see how much things can go haywire on this podcast with the two of us. It's fun. Anyways, as Chelsea said, I think based on, like, the characteristics that are associated with Gemini, the two the three, I guess, that I resonate with most are being, like, kind of quick-witted, good at communication. I know I stutter my way through this podcast, but, like, in real life, I'm actually pretty good at talking. Yeah. 3, we are very, like, intellectually curious, or 2, we're very intellectually curious. I don't know what's happening today. It's going to be a fun episode. I made soaps this morning. I think the fumes went into my brain.
Essential oils.
I don't know, maybe soap fumes? I don't know.
Oh.
Something's going on up here, whatever. We'll figure it out. 2, intellectually curious. I really love learning about a bunch of different things. I think this week alone I dipped my toes into, like, 3 new topics because that's just what we do in this house. And then 3, kind of like the dual personality thing. We're not two-faced, contrary to popular belief. I am not a two-faced person, but we do have, like, kind of 2 distinct sides to ourselves. Like in our fashion episode, I mentioned what I wear versus how I act. 2 completely different things. So I guess that aspect too. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What's your moon and rising sign?
Oh, Jesus. I know, like, one of them is the one where you, like, how you express yourself. I think I'm a Pisces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I forget the other one.
That's how we get along.
Okay.
I think that's why we get along. We're both Pisces moon. We're both very, like...
okay.
Introspective.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I'm Pisces moon as well. Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm Leo rising, so I present myself like a Leo.
But you're actually a Gemini. Oh.
But I'm a Gemini.
Astrology.
Yeah, so Gemini sun, Pisces moon, Leo rising. For those of y'all who can stalk me based on that, go for it. You'll know that. Never mind, I'm not going to expose that. Go searching for it if you want.
Also, shameless plug, but if you're new to astrology like I am, the CoStar app is actually very, very helpful because at this point we've come to that little mark in the road of quarantine where, like, our lives aren't ours anymore.
Projecting.
You know, yeah, we're astral projecting. I am but a vessel for the cosmos, so.
So surrender to the stars.
Yes, and
My fate lies in your hands.
it does, and I guess your fate also lies in our hands because we will be giving you advice on certain issues. We got some good responses here that we're going to discuss today.
What a creative segue. I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tackle the first one? Or
Yeah, okay. So the first one was very, like, short, simply phrased. It said, staying focused, and this was sent by a Scorpio. So, you're asking a Gemini for advice on how to stay focused.
Oh. Maybe.
Girl, I can't help you there.
Maybe I can start because we're the
No,
same
okay.
like sign. Or?
Yeah.
Okay. As I wrote down
Go
like
first.
a bunch of common traits like for people that are Scorpio, and again, like I mentioned, I think passion is like a really big common theme because despite me not like associating with like the very emo image of what a Scorpio is, I think like whenever I've come to, I guess I'm going to talk about being focused in terms of learning things or completing a task. There are a lot of undesirable tasks and things that you won't want to do. And I think that's like the biggest issue with my focus. Like it's not so much that I don't have trouble, it's not so much that like I have trouble working, but it's more so that I can't like get into it. I don't have like the motivation, but I think finding at least in a subject or a task that you have to do something interesting. So I don't know, I don't know if this is a good example, but the other day I had to cook dinner and I really didn't want to do it, but I put some music on that I really enjoyed and I was able to get through the task with more like gusto, I guess, even though it would take me the same amount of time. I think I was more efficient because I found a little aspect of it that I could enjoy while doing it. So
Interesting.
yeah, that's kind of my tip. Hopefully that like makes sense.
I think that works, yeah. I mean, honestly, I do pretty much the same thing, even with homework. Like, I study with music, even though everyone's like, that's wrong, you can't do that, it was bad for you. Like, you know what, it works. So, yeah, add music. I know she's into the person, or no, that's a different person. I forgot who sent this one. Anyway. Doing my best. So, I guess, yeah, in order to stay focused, I think that's one thing. If you want to go, like, a little deeper into things, I don't know, just really start thinking through it. Be like, how will I feel when I'm done with this? Like, if you have a task that you have to complete, normally what gets me through it is I just ask myself, okay, aren't you going to feel really, really, really good when you're done with this? And the answer is pretty much always yes. So I just focus on that feeling I will get after it's done and then just push through it.
Oh, as daunting as the task like seems, right? There will be so many days after that will pass, and it'll just be over. Like, so.
Exactly. Just do it, as Nike says. Yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, I can't help you there because I'm like the least focused person to exist.
But we tried. We tried.
Yeah, here. Yeah.
Doing our best.
All right.
Okay.
Shall we move to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one asks, well, I'm a Sagittarius, so any advice is always appreciated. And then she said, actually, no. So I would love advice on navigation of the future and mental health. So I did not know this person was a Sagittarius. She's my, so in school we have like a mentor-mentee program, right? In high school. And she was my freshman mentee. She was my little freshman baby. And I love her so much. So if you're listening to this, I miss you. How are you, first of all? Second of all, you're a Sagittarius? No way. No way. Normally, me and Sagittarius do not mix. Like, we just hate each other. So this is good news. I have a Sagittarius friend, you guys. Wow. Okay, so any advice is always appreciated. I guess to tackle that, Currently, my advice to myself, I don't know, this may or may not help you, is don't try to be, just do. Which, that's just kind of like an affirmation I keep telling myself. Because, I don't know, I tend to overthink things. So when I'm, like, about to do something, I'm like, oh, this is going to make me good and scholarly. Or, like, if I don't do this, I'm going to be a bad kid. Or if I don't do this, I'm going to be so-and-so. Or if I do this, it's going to reflect such and such on me. I have to remind myself, stop. No, you're just doing. Sometimes you can just do for the sake of doing. And that's just, I guess that kind of ties into, like, getting focused. Like, just getting things done. Yeah, don't attach too much meaning to stuff you do all the time, because that's my bad habit, and I'm learning not to do that. So any advice, that's what I would give. Would you have any advice that
I guess
you would like to pass down to my freshman baby?
Like handling the future? Or
I guess this one's just, so it was kind of broken into two parts, right? So any advice and then handling the future. And so I guess the first one, if there's like any general thing on anything that you would like to.
Any advice? Yeah. To prepare, I just wrote down, like, again, general traits of, like, each sign that we're talking about today. And I know that people who are Sagittarius, like, tend to be not really chasing adventure, but they tend to, like, look out for future opportunities. And it's really hard nowadays because, like, we've come into this time where the future is, like, very uncertain and up to people that we don't know and situations we can't control. But actually, I got this, like, really... I ordered my philosophy book for class, and it was from a used bookstore. And in the book, there was, like, this sheet of paper that says, like, things you can control. And there's, like, a huge list of, like, little things that are typed out that you can control. And there's, like, a nice little note, like, thank you, and stuff. So it was super wholesome.
Aww,
and yeah, I know. And it's sort of...
That's so cute. I just got an invoice. They're like, thanks for shopping with us. Here's the return date. Bye. And I'm like... Okay.
Why do you too, I guess, like...
I know.
And, yeah, like, I think it's important to focus on the things that you can control right now, because the future will happen no matter what, right? Actually, I watched this episode of... Okay, I plugged The Matrix a few episodes ago. I'm going to plug Merlin now. But, basically there's this one episode where the main character, Merlin, is, like, in this situation where he sees the future and he sees these events that are going to happen and, like, does everything in his power to, like, prevent these things from happening, right? Because it's like a very bad future, like the villain wins and stuff like that. And it's prevented, but, you know, like, at what cost? There's only so much that you can or cannot control about certain events. And to keep grounded and take it day by day is something that can be sort of difficult, especially, I guess, for Sagittarius. I don't know how much you relate to that, but yeah.
Nice. We love a pop culture queen.
The show is like 12 years old, but, you know, it's fine.
No, I've heard of it. I had a friend that was, like, super into it a couple of years back, but I just never watched. I should.
All the characters in the show are baby. They're all baby.
Really?
Like, it's not even...
Aw, we like that.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so for the second part of this question, I would love advice on the navigation of the future and mental health. Okay, so I guess I can kind of break that into two parts again. So we've got the future, right? As Chelsea said, no one knows what's happening. I am a diehard lover of existentialism, as we've mentioned at least 50 billion times in previous episodes, but nothing matters. Truly nothing matters. So I guess navigation of the future, since you're my freshman baby, I'm guessing this is in the context of, like, careers and jobs. It's super cliche, but, like, whatever you do, make sure you have at least this much will to do it, otherwise it's gonna be a fun time. I guess for you, okay, so she's a sophomore right now, so we can give it in, like, the framework of maybe, like, SATs and college apps and stuff like that. I truly don't have any advice in that department, though. Yeah. So, as you said, the main characteristics for Sagittarius are adventurous, optimistic, independent, philosophical, and sometimes cold, which she's not cold.
Oh.
So, good on you for not being a mean Sagittarius. But also be yourself. I don't know. my brain's everywhere today. So for navigating the future, I mean, I guess, I don't know if you resonate a lot with these values and like traits, but pick something that you want to do that kind of fits within those parameters, or whichever parameters you resonate most with. Also, I guess for like SATs and college apps and stuff like that, using Sagittarian characteristics, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like for real, I have a problem with this too. Like Geminis are also fiercely independent, quote unquote. And so I despise asking for help. Like that's last resort type stuff. But like with these like big life decision type thingies, don't be afraid to ask others for, you know, guidance sometimes, or like if you need study tips, you can ask. And if they judge you for it, that's on them, not on you, right? You're just trying to get through things. So don't be afraid to ask for help, and stick to your values. And then mental health. Oh boy. All right. Do you want to go first in that facet, since I've been talking for a little bit now?
No, you're good. Yeah, since one of the characteristics is like optimism, right? I think there were times where I would hide how I was feeling by putting it off, like, yeah, I'm good, or yeah, I feel good about this situation, and I would lie about like very arbitrary things like my grades, and if I was like, if I looked upset and then someone was like, oh, are you okay? I would be like, yeah, I'm fine, right? And I think not being vulnerable with like certain people that I wish I had been vulnerable with was sort of sacrificing my mental health and how well I was doing in school. And also, I think you can utilize that optimism not necessarily to mask like your inner turmoil, but also to focus that on, you know, the other part of your question, right? Like the future. Because there were times that I would complete assignments or tests and my grades would be abysmal. Okay? I'm not saying this like for dramatic effect, like they were pretty bad. But at the end of the day, like there are going to be years that'll pass, months that'll pass, to where you'll have a brighter future than you would have imagined. Like right now,
imagine for yourself, for sure.
Yeah, because like being where I am, it's not great. I mean, we're in the middle of a global pandemic, but my mental health is a lot better than it was like 2 years ago. So
yeah, I think even sip of water, ladies, sophomore year. Since you're in sophomore year, I mean, I don't mean to be a killjoy or anything, but that's generally when things start getting bad for most people. So I cannot stress the importance of like self-care days. Like just if you're starting to feel burnout, do the abs. I know with like high school it's really hard to juggle like self-care and assignments and this and that, but like for that day, if you feel yourself burning out, and this is something I'm starting to do as well, the second you sense that things are gonna like start slowing down, or if you keep going you're gonna hit a wall, the second like that gut feeling comes in, do the absolute bare minimum that day. Like I guess to take what I do for an example, I have my college classes going right now, right? And I have assignments due pretty much every day. It's not as bad as high school, but there's still stuff to do, right? And so if I sense I'm starting to burn out, I will do the absolute bare minimum. Like I'll just reply to whatever discussion board posts I have to. I'll just submit whatever I need to for that day. And then I won't study. I won't do anything like that. And then it kind of takes a little practice, but just learn to flip that switch in your brain where it's like, okay, now I am here to relax. I'm not going to guilt myself for not studying. I'm not going to feel bad for not doing anything. Right now, my job is to make myself feel better. And then I just like bake or make organic soaps or do something that just like makes me happier. And so you have that day to yourself where you can kind of just reset, recharge. I know it sounds super cliche. I know everyone on the internet's like, yeah, self-care days, but genuinely like really utilize those whenever you feel you need one. So that's one thing. And then two, things get bad. I'm not gonna say they're gonna be great all the time. As Chelsea said, like when I was in sophomore year myself, things looked terrible. I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna be doing in 2 years. I like what is going on? And so yeah, I mean, you might end up in a situation where you're just like, what's happening? What, like, let me try to phrase this a little more coherently. if you ever get in a spot in your life where you start becoming very cynical of the future, just have a blind faith that things are going to get better. I know it sounds very useless. I don't know. It probably doesn't sound very helpful. But when I was going through a hard time, like, the one thing that kept me going is just having a blind faith that somehow things will work out and I will be okay in a couple of years. So if you're in a bad mental health spot, just keep that blind faith that things will turn out all right, even if you don't feel like it. And eventually they will. Look, I think I'm doing pretty great now, see? So those are my 2 cents on mental health. Just, one, I guess to summarize, be really in tune with your emotions, and the second you start feeling burnout, don't wait for it to get worse. Don't say, oh, it could be worse, I can handle a little more. No, the second things start getting bad, it will snowball. So, like, stop, recharge, and then keep going once you feel better. And then 2, if you're in a bad place, things always get better. So just hang in there. Yeah.
Wow, we really, I think we really were on a roll on that one.
Yeah,
That
I
was,
have many a thing to say.
Yeah, because being in college, like, I think we've gone over this, but even when you're in college, right, I can't imagine anything past this point. Like, this is the point I worked 12 years to get to. And it's like, what?
Right.
What?
I was like, what's after this?
What is after this, you know? Like, I have a goal, but
Yeah.
it's just so weird because you're, like, in this limbo of, like, am I an adult? Like, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't know. But that takes us to our third response. And this person would like advice on how to let things go or how to cope with change. And they're also a Scorpio.
Interesting. So this is also one of my friends from school. Oh, these are all my little siblings, my in-school little siblings. This is making me happy. But here, do you have advice first? Because again, I just went on like a whole thing.
Sure.
So.
How to let things go. Honestly, as one of the main aspects of being a Scorpio is being very stubborn, I think that can also translate to being not necessarily like clingy, but also like what do you call this? I don't know. Oh, dwelling on things that happened a really long time ago. Because now that I've been in quarantine and I've like had time to think by myself, every now and then I just like sort of curl up because I remember something embarrassing, and it's really not great. It's pretty bad. But maybe I'm going to talk about this in terms of friends and stuff. I always think about the difference, or not, I don't always think about, I don't know why I said that, but I think about sometimes the difference between like letting go and moving on, right? I feel like letting go is something that you can't always do, right? Whether that be like you've become disconnected with a friend, or maybe you've like lost or cut off contact with a family member or whatever, right? Sometimes you can't let that go because it's just such an innate part of your life. But I think moving on is something different, because that means like you acknowledge that thing happened, but you can also go forward with your life knowing that, yeah, I can't get over it right now. I'm going to acknowledge that, and maybe day by day I'm going to practice ways of thinking that can help me detach from that. And again, to get back to like the friends issue, like I've had a lot of friends recently that I've had trouble communicating with, or I'm like too afraid to like do anything, because obviously our friendship isn't in the same place as it was, you know, a few years ago, or even like quite recently with the ending of the previous school year. But I think it's like important to remember that like although things won't be constant in your life, that they still play a role in it. I don't even really know what I'm saying. I'm just like going on this weird tangent. But basically,
It makes sense.
but like basically, you know, you can move on from these events or these things that happen to you, right? That doesn't mean you're letting them go, right? So you can do one thing without the other. It's not like you have to completely cut off everybody that's not close to you anymore or whatever. You don't have to. You just have to like learn to move on and live without it in the moment. I mean, not like in general, right? Just like in the, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wait, I need to take little notes because I have a bunch of thoughts coming in, but I need to remember them. Okay, so I kind of have two main ideas that I want to focus on. I'm very, like, pragmatic today. I'm, like, breaking it into lists and subcategories. Jesus, okay. So letting things go and how to cope with change. And I was going to focus on, like, the stubborn aspect of Scorpios as well, as Chelsea said, where it can be kind of hard to, like, let things go. And, like, y'all tend to dwell on things. I know, because I live with 2 Scorpios. But, yeah, I guess, honestly, I have, like, the opposite problem. I let go of things too fast, and I need to dwell on them a little bit more. But I think it kind of goes both ways. One thing I saw that really, really helped with that for me is journaling. I cannot suggest this enough to literally anyone for any purpose. If you want to get organized with your life, journal. It gets things down. If you want to have someone to talk to about your emotions, but you don't trust anyone enough, or, like, you don't have anyone to turn to, journal that stuff down. If you want to let go or cope with your problems, journaling. Because I know a lot of times you can't talk these things out with friends. There's a lot of thoughts that everyone has where it's like, I can't really tell someone about this because they'd be like, okay. Either that or you just don't trust anyone enough with that kind of stuff because, yeah, I mean, some stuff is personal, right? So journal it. I know, I guess I kind of have a little bit of context, so if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, journaling helped a super duper bunch when I had to go through major life changes, because you can get everything out on paper. Like, I know when major life changes happen, you probably have very, like, nuanced thoughts, and there's, like, a bunch of different, like, things going on in your mind, and it helps to just get it all out on paper, because no one's replying back to you. You're kind of just, like, regurgitating whatever is going on in your brain. And so that, one, kind of helps you organize your thoughts and see them for what they really are, like, on paper, rather than just have them, like, floating up here. And then, two, it's weirdly cathartic for me. Like, even when I have to, like, let go of something, I write it down, right? And it's like, as Chelsea said, sometimes there's thoughts you don't necessarily want to forget. So you kind of just keep ruminating on them to, like, keep them in there, right? So a journal is helpful that way because you can write it down and then you can just, like, close it and it's like, okay, it's here forever and I'm letting it go from my brain onto the paper. And so that's one thing I would suggest. Journaling is freaking huge. I would literally suggest it to everyone. If you're listening, go start a journal. It's hard to start. It requires consistency. Boy, is it worth it. So that's one. And then two, kind of tying to my mental health thing, because I know that major life changes and, like, coping with, like, coping with change and letting go of things, that can affect your mental health. And oftentimes when you're put in a position where everything changes super fast, you kind of have that same mentality where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen next, right? Like, I'm in a new place, this is all foreign, and I don't know what's going on. So again, the blind faith thing, it's just, like, trust that things are going to work out in your favor. If not in your favor, not even in your favor. I think that's an extreme way to put it too. Just have a blind faith that things will turn out all right in a couple of years. And just, you don't have to believe it, but just keep reminding that to yourself whenever you're put in a position where you're like, oh no, I don't know what's happening. This is bad. Just be like, okay, it's gonna be okay eventually. So, journaling and then blind faith again. Just keep reminding yourself that things will be okay eventually. If it's a couple months, a couple years, a couple decades, who knows, but it will be all right, and then it will be good, and you will be like, I'm glad I stayed strong.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
I don't know, I'm kind of just, like, spewing affirmations right now.
Yeah, what the heck?
Making sense. Oh, Lord.
If younger me heard this, like, she'd be like, what are you on? But also would probably appreciate it. But
You sound like a Pinterest mom.
I am a Pinterest mom.
Leave me and my Pinterest stuff. No, there is validity. Like, I know these are really cliche statements, but there is validity to all of them. You just have to dissect them properly.
Yeah, true.
All right. So.
Okay, I feel like this is going to lead into some more off-topic rants. Sorry for the person who submitted this, because we were just talking about this, like, an hour ago. Okay?
We were!
So, this person is asking for general general relationship advice, and they're a Gemini, so like you, they're also a
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, twinsies. Second of all, you're asking two single people this.
Gemini.
But, no, okay, so from a Gemini perspective, I guess, as I stated earlier, we're very, like, quick-witted, very talkative people. I guess from personal experience, when I'm interested in someone, I tend to get very, 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 very talkative. Like, I don't, to the person who sent this, I don't know if you're like that too, but it becomes a problem because I come across as, like, overbearing. And it's like, oh my god, she talks a lot, she's very energetic, okay, bye. So, if you're like that too, then my advice would be, don't not be yourself, but try not to be as overbearing when you're talking to people you're interested in, because I know this problem I have where I have to, like, okay, let's bring it in a little. So just breathe when you're talking to people. Be your usual. Okay, so the person who sent this, no, he's actually very, like, funny, very quick-witted, like, super freaking fun to talk to. So just, like, keep that up. However you talk to your friends, try and emulate that with, like, potential partners. So I guess that's what I would give. I don't know, more might come to my mind, but, like, Gemini to Gemini, I'd say, like, try not to be overbearing, because I know I do that, and if you do that too, then, like, buddies, first of all, but second of all, maybe that's something we could work on. Yeah. That was terrible advice. I'm so sorry. I did my best.
I mean, but this is all we could do.
I'm doing what I can.
We're two single people. Okay, yeah. I'm going to trace back to, like, the stubbornness again, but I think also, like, maybe like the bravery aspect. I think as a Scorpio with these traits, right? Like, I think I've always put too much of myself out there if I'm interested in someone. Like, I
oh my god,
overshare.
Yeah.
Sometimes I act like more, because I act a certain way with, like, my close friends, right? And then when I meet new people, I act a different way. And sometimes if I'm meeting just even, like, new people in general, again, like, if I think they're cool or interested in them, and it's not necessarily, like, in a crush sense, like, sometimes I'm just interested in getting to know people and being friends with them. And sometimes I, like, try to, I don't know, appeal to them in a way. Like, maybe I try to be funny when I'm not in that moment, right? Or
Right.
I explain this, like, detail about myself that maybe I find interesting, and it's, like, not. Because I had orientation week, I guess last week and the week before, and I, like, at one point said that I didn't like being American because I'm going to university in the States.
Canadian school.
And I feel like that's just not something you should tell people. Like, you know, because I'm from here, right? If it's, like, so dismal, people think it's, like, America's not super great anyway. So if I say it's, like, dismal, like, I don't know if that
just affirming their preconceived notions.
Impression. Yeah, like, it's not a really good idea. So I mean, I think like what Sonica said, it's good to be yourself, but also save if you're very interested in someone and getting to know them, I think save, like, the really, you know,
save the details,
precious parts of yourself for the later parts in your relationship, because sometimes I feel
that was
like
so much better than my advice. Shoot.
It's just like I do the most, and then the relationship ends prematurely because there's nothing else that they need to know, right?
Right. Also, like, it scares them. Relatable.
And yeah, so
yeah,
that's my advice.
Nice. Do we have anything else to contribute? I'm trying really hard to come up with something better, but genuinely, this is just not my field of expertise.
This is the hardest one because
I know. We had mental health, we had coping with change, we had staying focused, and we tackled those more or less with complete ease. We get to relationships, and we're just like, I have not fully developed my social skills.
Because all I know about relationships, right, is what, like, my friends have experienced, and
yeah, I just live
from, like, their
vicariously
point
through
of view,
them.
right?
Yeah,
I know, and it's like,
so tell me how y'all's conversation went, just so I could feel bad.
It's crazy. I don't know. I think it was just high school, like, I wouldn't date anyone that went to my high school. No offense. Like,
Yeah, no, same.
sorry.
Sorry, y'all.
I respect you, but I think also at that time my mental state just wasn't very like
Was not meant for
open for doing that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have
It is
that
what it is.
occupied in my brain. But
I mean, while we're on the topic, I don't know why there's the pressure to like be in one anyways. I don't know. Like, if you find someone, good for you. That's great. But like, you don't. If you're like us and you're well into college, well established into the college scene, not really, like 5 weeks fresh into college, or in her case 2, you still haven't been with anyone, that's perfectly okay. That's fine. Because we are still little babies. I still feel like an oversized child, so who am I to push myself for something I'm not ready for? Yeah,
and,
don't feel bad.
I sent a text to you earlier. It was like I'm like, you know, I'm strong. I don't need a man. But then I'm like consuming all this content that like depicts like happy couples, and it's just like, why am I doing this?
Why am I making myself sad?
It's very self-destructive behavior.
But it'd be that way, whatever. Yeah. I love how the lighting has just significantly gotten darker now that the sun sets earlier. The way the lighting has just progressed. Because
the shadow is like going this way on your face. But
yeah.
My window's like phone, right here.
Yeah. On my phone it was fine earlier, and now it's just dark. I'll fix it. Oh well.
Okay, so we're getting towards the end, and do we? I didn't even prepare one. Do we have a song of the week?
I could come up with one on the spot.
All right.
Let's go through my Spotify. Let's see what's happening over there. This goes without saying. I think it's a little late to make this our song of the week necessarily, but stream Dynamite if you know it's good for you. We're trying to keep that on the Billboard charts. Yeah. That's all. As for our actual song, actual song of the week is Criminal by Timon.
Oh, okay.
It came out.
We'll go over that later.
So we'll have an episode devoted to like everything we want to freak out about from the month of September, but that's our song of the week because the artistry, the videography, the choreography, the vocals, the like literally every aspect of the process was like a 10 out of 10. Like just listen to it. It's good. It's really, really, really good. Okay. That's our song of the week. Now we're gonna segue into Deep Questions with Friends.
Yay!
Woo! It's been a while since we've done this.
I know it is. Yeah, it's been a
moment. Yeah.
But like now that we both know some philosophy,
maybe we can make this better. Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a fresh 50 pages into The Republic by Plato.
Socrates. I only read 10 pages. He's so annoying.
Right.
For what?
He's literally
what?
a menace. No, and like that's the thing. He has so many good points, but if I were in his presence, I would just leave. I'd be like, okay, bye. He's like that one kid in class that won't stop asking questions. Like, teacher, what's that? She's like, it's a leaf. Why is it green? Because of chlorophyll. We're gonna learn that in a couple chapters. But why is it called chlorophyll? So there's a word called chloro. And then fill, it's 2 separate words. I don't know what they mean separately, but when you put them together, why don't you know? You're a teacher, right? Yeah, he's that kid.
And like, he just doesn't justify it himself. He's like, no, you justify it. But then it's like, you also have to justify it.
No, oh my god, no, and it's not just him. Literally all of the characters are annoying. There's not a single one of them seriously? That I would enjoy being in the presence of.
Okay.
I hate them all. Anyways, some points were made in the book, so hopefully we can focus on those and not how annoying Socrates is. Let's dive into this. We're doing a lot of mischievous hand rubbing today. I think it's just because I painted my nails and I want y'all to see. Look at my goth nails.
Wow. Actually, the lighting is really dark.
You can't see them. Yeah, here you go. She's doing her best.
Okay, babe, before I ask this question, PH1 was featured on the Get Real podcast, so
yes.
go stream that.
Also, the podcast topic was really good. I loved it.
It was really
Yeah.
great. Might even just
I'm
watch
only
it again.
about-
Who knows?
Really? That's great. I'm still only about halfway through, but I love it. I love it so far. Also, it's super cool that he was also in like comp sci and then switched to music. So like,
Oh,
I don't know. I
very
might follow
similar.
in someone's footsteps. Yeah.
Okay.
But
So I'll start with this question. Okay. Are there limits to human creativity?
I don't think so. No, because I don't know. If you look at any field, like any field at all, within okay. So if I were to, I'm gonna use an example again because me talking hypotheticals would be useless. But like, I don't know, botany. Let's talk about plants. Speaking of which, meet Bean. This is my son. I also have another plant, but I can't really lift him up. But botany. Within botany, the avenues you can go down are pretty much limitless. Like, I don't know, if I have my bamboo plant right here, right? I could train it to grow in specific ways, right? Now, emulating off of that idea, I can make it grow on like a large mold type thing and make it elaborate patterns. Now, someone else took that idea and made that bamboo into a chair. And then you could also do different things. You can propagate bamboo, and maybe you could train them to just like straight up grow differently. And so like within botany, I've listed like 7 different things already right off the bat. It's just like creativity has evolved so much from like the very beginnings of humanity that you can take any idea and then somehow like build off of it or emulate it slightly or just like branch from it into a slightly different field. You could combine different fields, so like music and art. There's that one synesthetic painter that paints songs and like paints how she sees songs with her synesthesia, which is super freaking cool. And then I don't know, there's just so much you can do with all the billions of different little hobbies and art forms and creative outlets out there in the world. It is like, I don't think there's any limit to human creativity. Go ham, y'all.
That's true. I don't think I really have a good response for it, but nothing is like everything you learned, right, was taught or displayed by someone else, and you with your own just personality are able to shape that one task or thing you learned into something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we wouldn't exist without creativity and innovation. I think like sometimes it's hard to think of things like science as like creative, but you can still use technical skills to
But yeah,
create
absolutely.
interesting.
Exactly. Like any scientific discovery we have till this date is because someone took what they already knew and approached it in a creative way. So I agree, 100%.
Okay.
Oh wait, that was actually kind of covered in the PH1 featured podcast.
Yeah, it kinda
They were saying
was.
the same thing. Yeah, go watch it. It's a really, really good episode. That I think is my favorite episode on Get Real so far. All right, so I had it. Where'd it go? I scrolled down and now it's lost. What is the most important goal every person should have?
Okay.
Ooh.
I don't think like you can really narrow it down in such a way, because at least in high school, right, we were taught, again, as we've mentioned several times, this objective like way of success where the goal is to get into your college of choice, right? And that was basically just my only goal for the past like 7 years. I didn't really have any other goals. And now that I'm alone, I don't have any goals for the next 4 years or the next 7 years. It's so weird not to have an aim. But I think in terms of like should have, I don't really know, because I think despite having that goal, whether I wanted it or not, it still pushed me to do a lot of things. And in the process, I did things like maybe for the sake of my resume or for like clout, or I don't know. But at the end of the day, I still learned like important lessons from it. So I think it's something that you have to decide, but also if society decides it for you, how are you gonna get there? But yeah, I don't think there's really one specific thing that you can, other than being like a good person. But then again, that's like a whole philosophical debate on what's good and what's bad.
What's a good person? And that's what we're covering in the Republic. Woo! Maybe we'll have an answer for you a couple episodes later. No, but I think, as you said, you can't have like an objective goal and apply it universally to every single person because everyone's needs are different, right? But I think because of that, again, I read Damien by Herman Hesse. If you haven't read that, go read it. Armbridge must reads. Maybe we should create like a playlist for that. I don't know, man. Anyways, Damien. So there's a paragraph from that book, and I think I quoted this in like one of our first episodes, where it says, I don't remember the exact phrasing of it, but there's like a voice in your head or like in your conscience that always knows what the right decision is or always knows what's good for you. And it's up to a person how much they want to adhere to it or how much they want to stray from it. Like, a lot of people do what society asks and like objectively gets like a well-paying job and like they do this and they're comfortable and wealthy, but they're absolutely miserable because they didn't listen to that voice that was kind of telling them, hey, this isn't right, this isn't working, you can do something else, figure something out, right? So I think the one goal, I don't even know if I would call it a goal, more like, I guess, yeah, the one quote-unquote goal that I would apply universally to everyone is just that you like listen to that voice within you. Your intuition is stronger than you think. Trust it. Yeah.
Sometimes my intuition's doing the most, but you know.
I just ignore it because why not? Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Some of these questions are like a little more taboo than allocation.
Yeah, either that or I don't know. I'm like weirdly not in a mood to like be deep. That's why my answers were so like poopy today. I'm sorry if I gave you bad advice, but my brain will physically implode if I have to think deeper than I need to.
It's like, it's already hard enough trying to understand like philosophical readings for class, and then it's like now
on top of
it
that,
already
I have to
occupies.
give advice.
Okay.
Yeah. The Republic is like 75% of our brains right now. They're like 25 devoted to actually helping others right now.
Also, just like okay, I get that we're reading works by Plato, right? But they're about another philosopher. But on my reading list, we never read anything that's about Plato. It's about Socrates by Plato.
Yeah.
Who's to say that Plato isn't ghostwriting Socrates' philosophies? I don't know.
No, there's actually like a theory that Socrates doesn't exist and like a bunch of philosophers just like invented him as like a vessel for their ideas. So is he even real? We don't know that. Because Socrates never wrote anything down. His only like legacy is his disciples.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyways.
Anyway. Okay. Not back on track. Would
Yes,
the world be a better place or a worse place if everyone looked the same?
Oh. Looked the same, right? Not like acted and thought the same. Okay, but like, okay, that brings up a bunch of other questions now that I'm in the annoying Socrates way of questioning questions. Are they gonna be forced to like behave and look one way, or is everything just coincidentally uniform? Like, are we going like asexual reproduction route?
That's like how I interpreted it. Like, I mean, assuming that every person just looked like the same person.
Okay.
From
the
beginning.
I think even like within that, people are gonna express themselves differently through like clothes and like, I don't know, tattoos and piercings and other like modifications, right? So I'm assuming that we're gonna have to force everyone to look and dress the same in order for everything to truly look like uniform. So that's kind of dystopian. I think the world would be worse because that's erasing individuality. And we like individuality as long as it's within moral bounds. And that's why laws exist. I'm really bringing myself down a rabbit hole now. I think it would be worse. Let's keep it there. I know, I've read 50 pages of the Republic and it's already ruining how I think.
Okay, let's see. For me, anyway, I feel like if it were like that just from the beginning, like humans were just all the same for some reason, um, I feel like maybe because things like discrimination and whatnot wouldn't really be a big of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like
Now
what you
we
said,
bully people for their personalities, not how they look.
True, true, and I mean, because the way that we think about attraction, right? Like, I don't know about most people, but some people, right, find like physical attraction to be like the first thing they notice about somebody, and sometimes that's like in my case, right? But like it takes another step to like get to know the person. But I feel like it would just be reversed. I mean, like people would think about personality attraction, sorry. And then I feel like it would create certain issues about trying to express themselves outwardly to further be attractive, so I don't really know. There wouldn't really be a standard of beauty, right? But I feel like standards would still be created in this new society.
Somehow, yeah. And that's the thing, because, like, genetically we could all look the same, but then the way you and I style our hair are different. The way, I don't know, like, I have ear piercings while, like, someone over there doesn't. I might choose to wear makeup. So even if we all look the same, we can't look the same, you know? Like, we'll express ourselves differently. So even, yeah, I think the whole, like, discrimination based on skin color and, like, all of that would be eliminated. But, I mean, humans by nature are discriminatory creatures, so we're going to create some way of making things messy. Interesting. So is it better or worse? Wait, hold on. We still haven't reached that conclusion.
Like, how would we know, right? Unless...
I think it would be worse because, again, like, you can't be completely uniform unless you force people to dress the same, style their hair the same, don't put on makeup or whatever. Like, don't modify yourself in any way. And there'd have to be, like, punishments for that, which is, like, oppressive. And... I mean, given our current society where we all look different, and even in an ideal society where we all look the same, regardless of this parameter of whether we look the same or not, we're going to discriminate ourselves somehow. So that's going to exist regardless. I'd rather have my individuality and freedom of expression and run the risk of being discriminated for how I look than, like, being forced to look the same and not having my individuality. I don't know. Hot takes. Oh, this one's kind of dark. How replaceable are you?
What the heck?
End the podcast with a crisis.
Funny, because we were talking about, like, dogs and cats, and we were like... I've always, like, implied that I've wanted a cat, so the moment I leave, there will be a cat in my house. But to get more serious, like, I think it depends per person, right? Like, with friends, whether or not you subconsciously do it, like sometimes I try to look for characteristics that I've had in previous friends or just people that I knew and like sort of look for the things I like in other people. It's not really replacing, but it's more so like a comfort thing for me. Like I tend to gravitate towards the same types of people. Yeah, but for me, I feel like, I mean, objectively, if I were in the workforce or I'm a student at a very big university, right? I am very replaceable, right? Objectively, based on like my value as a person. But it obviously increases when you have like duties and when you have obligations. Then it becomes more of a weight. But if you're just there, then I mean, emotionally, the replaceability level is like different. But
yeah, I think I agree with you. I think if we're talking like grand scheme of things in society in general, absolutely I'm replaceable. Like if I don't know, if I were to choose between being like a florist and I don't know, give me some like random career, a lawyer, I don't know, man. If I were to choose being a lawyer over a florist, someone's gonna find some other florist. Like, that's not a big deal. And, like, society, people can function regardless of what I do, whether I do or not. Like, it doesn't matter. But I think, as you said, like, in terms of interpersonal relationships, we create value throughout the courses of our life. Like, I know if I were to suddenly disappear, my friends would be sad, I'd hope. No, but yeah, like, I mean, I'm assuming you'd like me. You'd be sad if I left, right? Right?
Yeah, sorry. I guess my nod wasn't very apparent in the...
No, I'm kidding around. But, like, I mean, yeah, basically that. Like, within your interpersonal relationships, there are people that, like, you matter to, right? So if you were to disappear off the face of the planet, just like poof, they'd be sad. They'd be like, okay, I kind of miss this person because they meant so-and-so to me. But, like, am I replaceable in, like, the system? Absolutely. So.
We're all just slaves to the system.
Gears in a giant machine.
The corporate wheel. I don't know.
Yeah, ew, I don't like that topic.
So I guess that reaches the end of our podcast. Today we talked about a lot of things. A lot of cosmic energy.
Things at once.
It's just channeled into
yes.
the minimal pot of capacity. I don't even know what I'm saying. So...
soap fumes, confusion, astral energy, it's all happening.
Yeah.
It's all happening.
It's all happening. And yeah, what started in quarantine has now come to a non-temporary end. Thank you for listening. And part 2 of our other episodes should have come out already, so hopefully you enjoyed that too. Thank you to everyone who submitted responses. We really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And check out our website, armbridgepodcast.card.co, and follow us on Instagram at armbridgepodcast and Twitter at armbridgepod. And we'll see you next weekend.
Wait, hold on. Hold up.
Oh, I got you.
Also, if you like this podcast, Chelsea started a solo podcast called Movie-ish, where she talks about movies. I don't know, what exactly do you talk about? You dive deeper into film.
Oh yeah, because I watched a bunch of movies
things
during quarantine. One of the first, I think, was like literally on that one day of school that everyone skipped, but I went. Which started with like Isle of Dogs, directed by Wes Anderson, and from there I was watching a lot of movies. And I thought, I don't know who to talk about this to, so I thought I would just share it with everyone. Yeah, like Sonica said, it's called the Movie-ish Podcast. You can follow on Instagram at Movie-ish Podcast, and my website, movieishpodcast.card.co, and new episodes come out on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And yeah, so
go check that out, y'all.
That should be out by the time this is released. I should have like maybe 2 episodes by the time this is released, but yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so go check that out because that's the thing.
Yes. Thank you, and thank you for listening today. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.